I think I'm one character in a movie with a bunch of great characters. It's like one of those movies where everyone's a star, but often those movies are really bad, but this movie is really good. And for me, it was before I was a candidate, as a candidate and being in elected office, is reaching out to the coalitions, to the people who have been doing this work much longer than I have, in some cases, much longer than I've been alive, and really building partnerships and understanding. Honestly, when it came to building the team that I currently have, it was to get some of the smartest people who have done this work, so that way when we, went live as an office in January of 2023, we were able to hit the ground running. So I think we've done a lot of really great work. Not everyone's always gonna agree with everything, but it's getting to that compromise is I think what's the most important thing, and it's about and how do we get there? It's about having those tough conversations, being in those tough meetings, which is something that, honestly, I oddly enjoy, right? Because I think without communication, without conversation, everyone's in their own little silos. So I think when it comes to the progress we've made or the work that we've done, it's about reaching out to anyone and everyone, and it's also about making sure that I mean, I think just the example that you just gave, I think there's also a mindset that folks have in the city, and I don't think Austin is any different than a lot of other major cities that have seen like massive growth over the years. But when I go and I talk to constituents, a lot of folks will be like, "Oh, Austin is, you know, we're a small college town." I'm like, "No, we're not." When it's come to some of the larger goals of the city, whether it be some of our housing goals that we've done, whether it be I think of mobility things like Project Connect. I think of the airport expansion. I don't know if anyone's noticed, we don't have a convention center right now. When I think of those things, and when I talk to some folks in the community, and they're like, "Oh no, we're too small. Like we don't really need a convention center. Oh, the airport's a perfect size. No one uses light rail." So I think when it comes to a lot of the change that we're seeing, it's also about, like I said, you're not going to win over everyone. Not everyone's always going to agree, but having those conversations, there is a mentality there that I think, uh, if not needs to fully change, it needs to be more open. I love where we are as a city. I think where Austin is now allows people like myself and so many others to live in the city, to thrive in the city, and we should be so proud of that. And I think when folks are like, "Oh, well, Austin was at its best," whenever I moved here, or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, for me, I'm like, Austin is at our best now, right? I don't think we're at our best. I remember there was a report that came out a few years back that we were the largest city in the country losing our Black population. Like, I don't think that was at our best. I don't think we're at our best when we're, when I-35 was created and Black and Brown Austin was on one side of the city and everyone else was on the other. I don't think that was when we were at our best. So I'm optimistic about where we are. I'm excited about where we're going, and I think we ultimately get there together when we have communications and those tough conversations.
ICE actions in Texas haven't been as concentrated in one place as we've seen in cities like Minneapolis. Immigration enforcement has ramped up significantly across the state since Trump took office again. How is your office partnering with different communities on the ground, organizations to strengthen partnerships in the face of these crackdowns?
I want to start off by saying if you're not working with community, then you're certainly not working for community. And so it's so important to have your community there alongside you. What's actually happening is much more silent and systematic, right? So instead of having federal ICE agents descend into Austin, what our state governor has done is deputize our state police or Department of Public Safety troopers. They now can act as ICE, as immigration enforcement. And then there was a law that was passed that our sheriff deputies can also help and facilitate and are required to facilitate ICE detainments. So we now have more ICE agents embedded within our community, but they're not showing up as federal agents, right? They're state and now and county deputies helping. What that does is what is it creates this kind of silent taking of people because what they're doing, they're coordinating. So someone gets pulled over by the state police or a DPS trooper, and very quickly they call ICE. ICE comes in within 30 minutes. They're not going to our jails. They're going to the detention facilities right outside our city. So we're not even getting an accurate sense to the scale of which people are being taken and separated from their families. And that is the reality that we're living here in Texas, where there is state support and mandates coming down from the state in coordination with the federal government. So what that means, though, and to Fran's point about the hope and the power that we have at the local level, and I truly believe that local leaders are on the front lines. We are best positioned because we're closest to the people we represent. It gives us an opportunity to fight back. Being the capital city of Texas, there's this fear of retaliation. And very quickly, the governor lives in our city. His legislative staff live in our city. They're very closely monitoring and watching what Austin does. And so there is that constant underlying threat of preemption, and that is real. I can tell you, I have had my own policies preempted by our state legislature. We, for a while, had to navigate that balance of if you act too soon, then you're going to cause more harm. And what I realize is that we have to talk directly to our immigrant neighbors and understand what are the risks that they're willing to take with us and what is most important. And that is through those conversations that I had with the community, they shared with me what they were going through with having people who are en masse, not identifiable. There was a lot of fraudulent activities happening, people posing as ICE agents and taking money from people. So, essentially making our most vulnerable neighbors even more of victims in the situation because they're preying on the fear and chaos that many of our immigrant neighbors are going through. For me, this is also very personal. I'm a daughter of a Mexican immigrant. I represent a working class immigrant community. It's the largest concentration of Latino families in Austin. And so it was really important for me that our city, take action and speak out and stand up for our immigrant neighbors.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, andiamo! La vendetta, oh la vendetta, la vendetta. Con l'astuzia, con arguzia, col giudizio, col criterio, si potrebbe, con l'astuzia, con arguzia, con l'ufficio, col criterio, si. Figaro.